is up, everyone? Welcome back to Eat Your Short Talk, your podcast for all things self care movies. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're glad to have you. This is episode 63. I'm Jay Watson.
And I'm Cathy Castle.
And Cathy and I are going to talk a little bit about music and how music is self care, but more specifically, dive into some specific songs and artists and some specific types of music that we like to go to when we're having a day or having a moment. We just need a little kind of pick me up to kind of get our mind in a get into a better mood or just have a more positive mindset. So we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little check in as we normally do. So what's going on in the Castle?
Yeah, well, again, I'm going to stay on the same theme that we're on the overwhelmed bus. Lots going on. We had, since last week, we ended our baseball career. Did we end our baseball career before last week? Or
Before we talked about it.
All right. So then we went to concert all weekend at the beach. And then we had some senior awards for Dylan last night. And he got some, we're very grateful. He got some nice scholarship money. And we're getting ready to move into a college graduation. Tomorrow night is sports awards. Then we go to a college graduation Thursday. Then Memorial Day weekend. So we're definitely on the overwhelmed bus. But I will say this for the sake of self-care podcast. I went today and used my self-care card, right, which is my debit card, and I got a massage from my girl Colin Perry, who knows my ins and outs very well, and she, even though I sit here on this podcast with you for how many times have we done it? 62 times or whatever. She let me know how dysregulated I really was. So I wasn't really surprised because, like I said, I'm on the.
I've known you've been irregular for all your life.
It is so true. But that was a good reminder to me to and I've said this before. We sit here and make our self-care plan of things we can do before we get all discombobulated, but apparently I didn't do that. So she could really feel it in my body, and she did some really cool stuff, and I believe it's the cranial sacral treatments, with repositioning my head and holding it in certain ways to get the spinal fluid, going again. And I'm telling you what, it was like she's some Houdini or something. I came out and I honestly, I told you this earlier, I've never come out of a massage feeling like I had more energy than when I went in. Usually it's the opposite. I'm pretty laid back and ready to take a nap, but I had more energy. I felt clearer. I felt more neutral. Your word. I love it. So that's what I needed, I guess. But I know there's a lot of busy people out there right now. Colin said people are calling it May. Instead of December, it's May-December, if I'm making that up. That May is like almost is becoming as busy as December.
Right.
A lot of people, everybody's shoving everything in before the summer comes and the school year ends. And man, it's a lot. It's a lot going on for a lot of people. So don't be like me. Don't get all discombobulated and dysregulated. But if you do what you got to do to get yourself back to neutral.
I think, Cathy, sometimes when we're in the middle of it, we don't see the forest for the trees.
Or maybe it's like a hurricane. We're in the center of it.
Yeah.
We think it's gone, but it's really not. It's swirling
Everything's spinning around us, but where we're standing doesn't feel that way.
I'm fine, but you're not fine.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, Cathy, is there's the external presentation of us, and then there's the internal part, which is the most important part. All the arm length stuff might be one thing, but what's going on in here, in our minds especially, could be completely different from that, good or bad.
And when I get busy too, then I get less sleep. Like I feel like I just got to keep packing more in, and then less sleep affects me. I'm probably doing 5 to 6 hours a night over the last 2 weeks. That is not what I need. I need more. I need the good 7 to 8, and it affects me. But I don't know. We think we just got to do it. So I don't know. Everybody, we all gotta get to neutral, as Jay says.
Yeah.
Try.
Yeah. It's easier to get there than it is to go to a 10 in the moment. You can get to a 5 easier than you can to a 10.
Oh, and another good piece of advice that Colin gave me today is if you can get yourself to neutral and you get yourself some more energy, manage your energy better. Don't just go like that's me. She knew it too. I was gonna go out that door and be like, heck yeah, I feel bad. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going here, there, because that's what I do. I try to pack 10 more things in. She said, just
Don't
ride
empty that
neutral.
tank so quick. Yeah.
Yeah, don't empty the tank so quick. Run it at neutral for a bit. Get it back together. Let the reserves pile back up.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But at the same time, don't be satisfied with neutral. That once you get to
true.
neutral, now you've got to now set a new goal.
I
And
guess
then
if you need
six will be
neutral,
your next goal. You know,
maybe neutral to recharge.
yes.
Lay there to recharge.
Regroup at neutral. Yeah.
Because if not, you go back down
Yes.
quickly.
Um, yeah, because then you can, or at least for me,
You're
like
gonna
I
fall
said,
down that hill. Maybe that's what Kate Bush was thinking about. I don't know.
she was going up the hill though.
But she's running up the hill, but which
Yeah.
is hard. I'm rolling down the hill. Anyway, how about you, Jake?
So my check-in is going to be something that I'm actually. You and I have talked about it. I've talked to a couple of people about this that I'm a little uncomfortable and awkward about. To be honest with you,
You're funny.
so I was both weirded out and fortunate enough
No, not you, Jake.
um, to be named a Caliber Award winner for special recognition for wellness and recovery
Hmm.
by Midshore Behavioral Health. Um, and let me back up about a
Do
month.
you do you need me to get? Tell me when, because I'm interrupting you. I wouldn't mind saying what that is.
Yeah,
Mitchell Behavioral Health
yeah,
in the Caliber.
yeah. Let me start
What you
back to when I got the call, and I'll let you kind of
got? Mm.
jump in from there. So about a month ago, I'm at work and I get a phone call, and it's on my caller ID. It says Midshore Behavioral Health, and they're one of the folks that I've been trying to get a hold of to invite to the Eastern Shore Self Care Expo. So I thought, oh, they're calling to ask some questions or whatever. And the girl that calls me introduces herself as the person for outreach and events. So I'm thinking, yep, that's what
They're
this is about.
coming, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
this is great. They're coming, they're asking questions, great. So then she proceeds to go on this speech about how this award that I've won. And Kathy, it went over, like I told you,
You're like,
the
what?
first, it went over my head
What are you
because
talking?
I'm like, it's not something I'm expecting. When she said, I think when she said, you've won, I turned off. I
Oh no!
was like, nope.
What if she said you've won $1 million or a trip to
I
what?
still would have been weirded out.
Oh man, Jake.
But so I literally, she does her thing and then she's done. And I'm like, wait a minute, back up and say that again because it literally went beyond me. So I'm very uncomfortable. I'm there's a little bit of me that's like, oh, this is pretty cool. I feel a little bit of pride um, to be able to have gotten to a place where I've been able to serve, to be even considered for something like this. So there is a small part of me that's like, oh wow, and I'm there's some pride in me in the moment, but it's mostly anxiety and just awkward and uncomfortable, especially when she says, "Yes, we're doing this awards banquet, and there's all these people and dressing up, and all the things that she's listed every of all the anxiety inducing things for Jay Watson. She's listed most of the top 10, all in like one paragraph. So I finally, our friend Alicia Salisbury was gracious enough to nominate me for the award. So um, I tried to call Cathy. Cathy was in a meeting, so I call Alicia and you know tell her. Part of me is like, "What the heck are you doing?" And part of me is like, "Thank you." So then Kathy was then available later on, so I talked to Kathy. Long story short, the awards, um, the banquet was this past Friday. Uh, Jay Watson was unable to attend, not only for anxiety reasons, but just it's hard to get out of work and get somebody to cover and miss out on the money and all that stuff. So I did not go. Kathy was nice enough to accept my award on my behalf. Um, and then I actually got videos from multiple people about the whole thing.
Hmm.
That was it. That I actually enjoyed watching those because it was I was able to feel it without having to be there and have all the eyes on me. So that was kind of like the best case scenario for me to
Like one of
enjoy.
these celebrities that don't show up for the Academy Awards or
Yeah, but
whatever.
I'm not protesting like Marlon Brando did. I'm just too. I have just too much anxiety to go.
Right.
um, so yeah, and it's and the funny thing is, Kathy, I don't think I told you this. I had forgotten all about it. Like once the initial part of finding out about it, once that was went away, until I started getting emails the day before from Midshore, asking if I was going. I'd forgotten about it. Like that's how
Mhm.
much it was an important. It's not a thing to me.
You were
I'm
done with it. Your
grateful.
mind, you made up you weren't going, so you were done. It was done.
Kinda. I mean, that's kind of what anxiety is. Your mind. You compartmentalize this thing. Um, and again, it's not disrespect or um, making light of it at all, because there is certainly a part of me that is hugely proud and hugely grateful um, for having gotten to such a nice, healthy place in my life where I can now serve. That's what I'm proud of. But I'll let Kathy kind of describe what the awards and kind of what that's all about.
So, Midshare Behavioral Health is another partner, right? I would consider them a partner to Eastern Shore Talk, meaning somebody that we can collaborate with or table at similar events for. For me, at Channel Marker, they serve as the local arm of the Behavioral Health Administration. So regionally, and they have some oversight in 5 counties. They're there representing the Behavioral Health Administration, where they might advocate for providers like us or our clients in our areas that maybe need something, because the Eastern Shore we know is very different than the whole state. Maryland is the whole USA all in one state. So that's kind of their role. So they have, gosh, Jay, it's been a lot of years. I want to say something like 17. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, they've done this award show, and it's kind of award show. It's not a show. They did this award um, event, and it's kind of grown over the years, but it's very well done. And their staff, they have a staff of 32. Their staff put this on and take a lot of pride in giving awards to all kinds of individuals, agencies, people within the agencies. I think it's nice because I think the work that all of us do in mental health or substance use, or like you in advocacy and self care and wellness, um, they're people that are always giving to other people, and even though that's amazing, it's also draining. So, and people I find in our fields and doing the work we do are not good at celebrating wins and taking care of themselves. So I think it's really nice for people to get recognized by somebody else. So it's a nice thing. Now, you and one of my channel marker staff also did not come. She was sneaky on me and didn't tell me. And so last minute, she's like, yeah, I'm not coming. So same reasons, Jay. And I said, So I was like Miss Congeniality. I just went up and got the consolation prize there. So I was not winning these awards, but I'm up there saying thank you and taking pictures with other people's awards. I was just a true imposter on Friday, but that's okay. So I have both awards for both people.
Yeah, it's
So you weren't alone.
yeah. And I kind of I don't know. There was I want to say a little bit of, I felt guilty. Um, I was like, gosh,
Well, that I mean, I know, because I know you. I know you're very appreciative, and I know that you don't want that kind of spotlight on you. I just know that about you. But I do want you to be proud of it. I think that it really does, highlight your journey and how far you've come. And I think it's well deserving that you have it. Now, the fact that you know that going up in front of a crowd of people like that's going to just make you then. dysregulate. I think
Yeah.
you got to know yourself too, and what you can do. And you might not have been able to do this one, but maybe there'll be something else that you can. Baby steps.
Well, there's two things that made me feel proud about the award. Not like I said just a minute ago. Number one is just to have been able to have gotten to a healthy enough place to be able to do what we do. But,
Or
just in a life sense, that's a proud thing. Just in general life sense to be in that space. And number two, when you sent me the picture of the award itself, it says on there, co-host of the Eastern Shore Talk podcast, and this podcast is just like it's a passion project for me.
yeah, I love that.
And so to you know have the podcast be viewed in a way like that. You know what I mean? I'm as proud of it as a podcast as I am for Jay Watson, if that makes sense to you.
It puts some recognition to it.
Yes, and it says it didn't say host, it says co-host, and because they asked me, what do I want to put on this thing, and I told them, and I even
Mm,
in my little bio I said co-host along with Cathy Castle, because that's very important because
aw,
you're
thank you.
50% of this, so
Well,
um,
maybe not 50.
so so you going up and accepting it was kind of appropriate, really, because you're the other half of Eastern Shore Talk podcast. So
They didn't let me talk though. I didn't get to do an acceptance speech. It's probably because we'd been there another hour or something, so they didn't.
yeah, no
So,
doubt. But yeah, Alicia did the kind of the intro, and that was cool.
mhm.
Um, I mean, it was cool listening from afar
Yeah.
to what the work that I've done with the podcast has meant. I mean, that's you know, it's good to know that not just that the work is appreciated, but that it's doing what I hope that it can do in some way, even in our little small community here. So, yeah,
Nice. Congratulations.
thanks, and thank you for representing Eastern Shore Talk in accepting the award on our behalf.
I accept.
So we want to get into some fun self care topics today with music and how and why music is such a. I think music's a pretty universal form of self care for most anybody. I don't know that there's anybody that just despises music. There are people that may like it more than others, and it might be more a part of people's lives than somebody else. But I don't know. It would be hard to find somebody that just does not like music whatsoever.
I've only heard one besides, I'm sure back in the day there's somebody older than us, and maybe it's us now saying, "What are those kids listening to?" That kind of thing. Or I've heard people say that they get earworms. Have you heard that term?
Yep.
Where they can't get a song out of their
Yep.
head. It happens to me in the
Hmm.
middle of the night. Um, and that really can make them feel nuts
Yeah.
about hearing that song over again. But besides that, I think it's very healing. And how many times I can't tell you how many times I've heard music save my life from somebody.
Oh yes.
That's a
It's
big statement.
it's a daily thing for me. Like
I mean, saved my life. That's huge.
I can say that when we talked about the Casey Kasem American Top 40, how big that was every Saturday for me because back then to listen to music you had to listen to it on the radio. There was or have a cassette
We did.
player or
We didn't
whatever.
go to concerts either, really. Maybe
Yeah,
later in our teenage years, but as kids, people weren't really going to
it
concerts.
just but even now as an adult, like it's a daily thing for me, Kathy. Like I intentionally, if I'm walking the showroom, get my steps in at work when we're not real busy. I'll go on YouTube and I've got, good gosh, I bet there's literally 100 go tos, different songs for different moods I want to get to, or it's just you know everybody that listens to music regularly is doing it for self care, and that kind of goes towards what we've talked about before, that self care doesn't have to be expensive or it doesn't have to be these big,
Yeah.
giant, grand, gigantic, time-consuming things. Heck, we were. How many people? I would think probably 99% of people when they're driving in the car are listening to music. If they're not listening to the news or whatever, they're listening to music as they're driving, and we do that for a reason. It's if it didn't make us feel good, we wouldn't do it as often as we do. It's just
Well,
that thing.
that's so funny. Whose idea was it? You think to put a radio in a car? Well, I guess was it always a radio? Probably. Isn't that strange if you think about it? It's like that's always been in a car, music, a radio.
Ford. What was his name? Ford. What was his first name?
Uh,
Henry Ford. Henry
yeah,
Ford.
he put a radio in a car.
That
Like
was
somebody was like, "Let's put a radio in a car." Huh?
because I remember with it just AM radios. That was all it was, just an AM radio. And for you young folks, that was
Oh
used to
Lord.
be AM. Well, it became AM and FM was the radio, and there were kind of channels from both. I could go into the scientific reason why they're different, but
Okay, here you
I
go.
won't bore anybody with that.
The first radio in a car was installed by high school students Elmer Wavering and Bill Lear in 1924. Wavering built the first car radio in 1921. Isn't
Oh,
that crazy?
wow.
Mr. Wavering. Huh. But the first successful car radio was Motorola.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Huh. Interesting. Just came to me. All right. There you go. Now you
Yeah,
know.
so I'd like to really get into, um, you know, not only why music is such an important self care because we've kind of we had an episode about a year ago
Yeah.
about that in general. Um, like I just said, it just and we pick just like movies. There are our favorite songs are the ones that make us feel some kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always those songs. It's a positive vibe of some kind, whether it's makes you want to dance and move, or just lifts you up and gives you that if you listen to gospel music that kind of reminds you of your faith and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I do that a lot. It could be like I used to have a gym playlist when I used to wear earbuds at the gym of just like hype gym kind of songs that would get me in that kind of
Yeah.
like
That's my kids. My kids all have that.
yeah. So
It's funny when they tell you the gym music, they're like, yeah. They're like pretending. They're like, I listen to this at the gym. I'm like, oh, it's like the air dumbbells.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a real thing though because like you know think about it if we're in our car and like our favorite comes on and we're screaming at the top of our lungs and even though we're singing bad and
Yeah.
we're bopping. Think about that, but in a let me use that to work out kind of
Jay,
way.
this would be me. I want to quit. I want to quit.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I know. Are there like for you, Kathy? Are there certain artists or certain songs that like you know you kind of like turn to that you're like okay let me
Yeah.
listen to dot 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 dot.
I'm like all over the map. I mean, 80s music is good for my soul. It's when it's our decade, right? It's when a fun thing. I mean, I just feel like the 80s were so simple, fun. I love 80s and I'll always listen to 80s and I'll follow 80s bands. I just went to this Boardwalk Rocks this
Yeah,
weekend. Um that'll never get old. I just feel like that music was just so feel good, get you in a better mood kind of music. I also do love 70s music, and maybe it's because literally I'm rolling around in a panel wagon and my parents are listening to 8 tracks of the Rolling Stones or there was this band ES Grit I remember them listening to. The Doobie Brothers and Eagles and whatever. And
yeah,
I mean I knew all of that. So for some reason the 70s just has a special spot
yeah.
for me too. And then I don't know. I start to drop off a little bit when you get into the next decades,
I
but
would say I like the '70s better than I like the '90s.
oh, 100%.
Yeah,
But at some point in time, I came to my next version of music was I came to like island boat kind of music. if you want to call it that, like the Jimmy Buffetts and the Bob Marley. Later, it became Kenny Chesney. Like that vibe for me.
Vacation music, I call it.
Yeah, it's vacation. It's outside music. It's
Yeah.
pool music, boat music, whatever. Yeah, it's vacation music, and so that has a different spot for me. And then the later thing that I found, the last thing that I found was country music. I was really not a country music fan necessarily, and then country got very pop, and I really have jumped on that bandwagon
Yeah.
completely. So I really enjoy that. So it depends on my, I might want a little bluesy Chris Stapleton some
I,
night.
I'm not a country fan in general, but I love Chris Stapleton.
He's good, right?
My man has some grit and soul in his voice. Like,
Ah, it is. Chris Stapleton can mellow you out, can he? He's
and the thing about him was, Kathy, he was a writer and was writing songs for everybody else, and he didn't have the confidence to go out on his own and do his own thing. He's written all kind of
wait,
big hits for other people,
Jay Watson behind the music.
but and his wife is always up on stage with him, singing like harmonies with him.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah. Whew.
Let me ask you if you've heard of this song. I found it from Chris Stapleton, and it's from um, 2023, I think. And I always forget the
Is it called
name.
Cold?
Nope,
So that's probably my favorite one of his.
Chris Stapleton.
Even more than Tennessee whiskey, I like Cold better.
I do love some Tennessee whiskey. Come on, where's the album? I don't want to hold us up here, but I think it's off the album Higher. It is, and it
I don't know a
is.
ton of Chris Stapleton songs though, but I love
You,
hearing him
I
sing.
want you to. I want you to listen to the song if you haven't heard it, and I bet you haven't. It's called "Weight of Your World."
Okay,
Wait, I want you to listen to that song. It's a really nice song about burden, I guess, and him. To me, maybe it's meant to be toward a love interest. I don't know, but to me, I felt like it was saying to people he cares about, or whoever wrote the song, to people you care about, listen, I'm here for you. Give me the weight of your world. And it's
yeah.
just a really nice, sweet, soothing kind of song that I've just found recently. Check it out.
I like. I'm a big Pink fan. I love Pink. She's got that
Uh,
gravelly, and he did that duet with her. That's so good
oh
too.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
people do love Pink. I'm not. I don't dislike her. She isn't somebody that I tend to go
yeah,
toward.
it's
I tend
funny.
to not go toward women. That's another weird thing. I tend to prefer a male singer over a female singer. Isn't that bizarre?
I don't really care one way or the other. Um, but it's
And
funny when it comes to
the
female
voice,
artists.
the singing of a man soothes or gets me wound up more than a female
Yeah,
voice.
I tend on the female side, the ones I do like tend to be the one name, like Pink,
Madonna.
Sia,
I liked Madonna back in the day.
Halsey, the one name
Mm,
women. And
Fergie.
I like very unique voices, like just
Yeah.
I love me some Teddy Swims too.
Oh yeah, he's
He
done a lot of collabs with some of these country boys.
he's like he's exploded. Um,
Now, if you were Jay, let me ask you this, and I know you'd never do it, but if you were okay to go out in a crowd, which
if
concert would you want to see?
I've actually considered that. There's a few people that I would absolutely love to see Coldplay.
In your in a box seat that only had you and two other people and somebody giving you popcorn. Yeah.
I would love to see Coldplay. And actually, it's funny. I wrote down a list of things here that I wanted to talk about, and they're one of the things, and I'll get to them in a minute. And it's funny, Kathy. I've said this before. Music has always meant a lot to me, but I'd say probably within the past 10 years, all the older songs that I heard before and liked, they hit me different now. And Coldplay's one of the big ones for me. I never I enjoyed the beat of the music and maybe the lyrics or whatever, but I didn't really get into the depth before. Whereas now it's kind of like my eyes are open and I'm open to all that song means, what the lyrics are, what the message of the music. And Viva La Vida is a perfect example of that. It's a way more spiritual song than I ever realized. Um, number one, um, but yeah, they've got. I mean, yeah,
You know, there's this concert thing. I've gone to a fair amount of concerts in my day, but it's always interesting to me to go to a concert because and watch people. You know, for like I think the most, for example, the most impactful concert that I've been to is Paul McCartney, and I've seen him twice. And I don't care how old people are. There are women crying every time at Paul McCartney. You know, 16-year-old girls behind me, and I'm just like, wow, he wasn't even a part of your lifetime. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And
I
his
mean,
music.
Hey Jude is pretty universal. It doesn't matter when that is. It's just something about that. Yeah,
Well, like you got these kids listening to this, 80-year-old rocker, and it's just like, wow. And even like this weekend when we went to the Boardwalk Rocks Festival, I'm at Def Leppard. I'm listening to Alice Cooper, who my goodness is. I think he's 78 and is turned into a Christian, by the way. And then Brett Michaels, and I'm watching the crowds, and I'm like, look how this brings people together and brings memories, emotion. Um, Brett Michaels was up there, and sure, we all love the old songs from Poison, but he was also doing some covers, and he was expressing gratitude. You could feel it, and people in the crowd were just they were so into it and grateful with him, and I don't know. It was just a really kind of neat collective group experience.
that's one of my categories,
Yeah.
and I've broken some things down. And we talked about this before. Um, like I listen to different types of music based on where I want my mind to go.
Mm.
They're all positive and a mood wise, but sometimes like I have music that that are faith and gratitude based. Sometimes I want to kind of move and dance a little bit, so I'll listen to that
Mhm.
kind of music. And sometimes I like we were
Can I
talking about.
see that, please? Can you take that for me? I need a reel. I want a reel.
I'm actually
I want a
not.
dancing
I'm
reel.
actually not a bad dancer.
Oh, look at
Nobody,
this.
nobody sees it because there has to be people around to see it. Then I'm not going to let that happen. Um,
You need to stick it in the corner and then put a little song on. I want to see the reel. I won't share it.
and then of course there's like the gym hype up, workout kind of songs, and they
See,
all
there's
kind of.
cleaning music. I have certain music I like to clean with.
I can see you listening to like Aretha Franklin singing "Respect" while you're vacuuming. I don't know why. That's
Nothing
what
hurts
you
me,
want.
Cathy. That's right, baby. You got it.
But like, um, I've got a few like for example, in my faith and gratitude section, and this is one that I go to just about daily. I'll listen to one or multiple of these. Um, there's a song called "Gratitude" by Brandon Lake, which and I was first introduced to that by one of the guys on The Voice about 5 years ago.
Mm.
Sang it, just great song. There's a song called "Oceans" by Hillsong. "Rejoice" by Charity Gale, and I don't know if she's related to Crystal Gale.
Hmm.
It would make sense because she's kind of country. She has a country vibe to her, and it's spelled the same way, although
Oh
but she
wow.
might not be. And speaking of um, American Idol, remember Danny Goki?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a song called "Faith," which is fantastic. He's a
Hmm.
gospel singer now. And then of
Hmm.
course Lauren Daigle has her big
Yeah.
three: "Thank God I Do," "You Say," and
Hmm.
"Rescue You." I could listen to Lauren Daigle like and it's like she's got that very unique, distinctive, gravelly, and you like feel. I mean, I think anybody that sings gospel, you're feeling it anyway.
Hmm.
But like, there's just she was put on this earth to do just exactly what she's doing. So
Oh,
to send the message with her voice.
what a gift! A good voice is such a gift, isn't
Oh my
it?
gosh.
I wish I had it. I don't.
Oh yeah. I
Man,
think
I wish I
either
did.
that or to be able to play an instrument, like play either guitar or piano really
If
well.
if you had to sing, if you could sing or play an instrument, which one would you pick? If you had to pick
I
one,
would probably sing,
yeah.
but I would also would love to. It's just something about guitar.
Okay, what instrument? You would go guitar. I would go
Guitar,
piano. I
yeah.
would go piano.
I
I'd
would
do
not be
some bass
opposed to
Gaga.
piano. But yeah. Um, and I wrote down a couple. Like I'm a big Neo fan from like the early 2000s.
I don't
Remember,
even know them.
it's a guy. It's just one guy.
Oh, mm-mm.
Uh, probably if you heard some songs, like he's got so many songs. They're very dancey. They're very like make you want to bop in your car. Like I do that all the time. And then that song by Ed Sheeran called Shivers.
I think I've heard of it, but I couldn't
There's a
tell you. Yeah,
million.
I do know that one. I do know that one.
There's a million TikTok song
Mm.
videos to people like dance troops doing
Mm,
dance routines to that song. It's
okay.
very dancey too. And then um, I want to get you into reaction videos because I'm telling you, Kathy, once you do one, I'll tell you one to do because
We should
since you,
make one. We should make one.
um, you should go on YouTube and look up reaction Prince Purple Rain. Since you like
Oh,
80s music, that
yeah.
like that's such a classic, not a classic movie, but a classic album also. But to watch the current generation and like everyone I've watched, they're blown away by him. And most of them had no idea who he was, didn't know, they'd never heard
Really?
the song. That's what I love when they are hearing the song. Like what you're watching them listen to the song for the very first time.
Purple Rain is such a good soundtrack.
Yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
that movie's so good. It's just so. It's just yeah.
Mm. Prince was just a musical
He was
genius.
ridiculously talented. He could play guitar like
But
crazy.
you know, I don't even know that most people understand how talented he was and how many instruments he could play. I mean, he could shred it.
And that was kind of the era, Kathy, when, uh, well, unfortunately, like the people that were so incredibly talented
I
were
know.
deemed to be different or weird
Yeah,
or
that's true,
strange.
right? Yeah.
Michael Jackson was the same way. I mean,
Uh-huh.
he did some allegedly did some bad things, but from a
But
musical
then,
standpoint,
but then look how, and it's sad for us to all see how their lives ended. You know, so many of those people, and you think, gosh, where would they be now?
yeah. They were considered eccentric, and Prince even admitted to it. He was a loner. He like secluded himself in his home, and
Well, that he named himself, the artist formerly known.
yeah. But then it was a symbol, and
That he was simple. Yeah, poor guy.
um,
But you know, he'll forever be a legend.
but I also love you were talking about going to the beach and like my feeling of togetherness, and that's cool. A lot of the reaction videos that I watch are just that when the crowd is singing along with the artist.
And it doesn't matter if you're strangers next to each other at that time. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, your religious beliefs. Like you're just people listening to music and feeling the same feelings.
And getting back to Coldplay, they have two songs from the same concert in Brazil when they had over 100,000 people
Oh my
there.
gosh.
And one of them was Viva La Vida, and the other one was Fix You. These are people that don't speak English. Their English
Oh,
is not, but they're singing perfect English.
oh
And
wow.
I guess to get into the concert, you got this like wristband that lit up, and in the song they talk about lights will guide you home, and the song "Fix You,"
Oh.
and in that part, everybody lifts their wrist up with a thing
Mm-hmm.
that light. The whole crowd lights up with these lights, like these glow in the
Mm-hmm.
dark wristbands. It
That's
gives you
cool.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Wow. Well, I've heard that they put on a heck of a concert. People that have seen them really say they're amazing.
Oh yeah. Um, you remember the song "Angels" by Robbie Williams?
Mm-mm.
I bet if you heard it, you'd be like, "Oh yeah." Well, he's a British guy that was never really big here, but was like gigantic over in Europe, in Great Britain.
Mm.
He does a song called "Angels," and he does this one outdoor concert, and I bet there's probably 50,000 people at this one. And he literally sometimes the artist will stop and like put the microphone up to cue the
Mhm,
audience,
mhm.
but he wasn't expecting it, and he stops, and it's like you can see him get emotional, like almost as though like this whole
Yeah,
crowd was like,
I've seen that
yeah,
at an
that's great.
artist. Well,
There's
that happens. I probably said this on the podcast. I saw Post Malone last year, and he would stop, and he was emotional about the crowd's reaction.
yeah,
You know, and because some of these people have been from dark places, they have not had a good life. maybe they have been an outcast and music saved them. So when they're there, like Jelly Roll, then here you are, and people are just, you've brought people together.
You're getting acceptance. That's all you've ever wanted, and all of a sudden, 50,000 people
Or
are
singing your
are
song.
singing back your song, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow. I do
Yeah.
matter. In that moment, you're like, yeah, I could only imagine.
I
Uh,
mean, it's got to be so emotional.
I'm also a huge Billie Eilish fan, and she does a song called "Lovely" with
Mm.
Khalid. Um, I mean, not only is that live version with the like she's one she puts the microphone and the crowd is in perfect sync and they're loud, but
Oh, wow.
the music video, Kathy, to that song is whoever came up with the idea for that video
Hmm.
is such a perfect, because the song is about anxiety. It's literally the theme of the song. And in the video, she's in this glass box, and the world is going on around her in this glass box, but she's put herself, or she has been put into this glass box so she doesn't or cannot interact with all that's going around her. All this, there's storms above her, and all. There's such a, to me, such a good visual representation of what anxiety can
Oh,
be, because
mhm.
I'm thinking, at least in my case, I put my own self in the glass box. I could see what was going on out there in the world, but I didn't
Mhm.
want anybody to be a part. And I also wrote, there's a part in the song that says, where is it? Oh, it goes, "Isn't it lovely, all alone, heart made of glass, my mind of stone." I mean, it's like, that's like, anxiety in poetry form.
You know what I think is fun? And maybe this is just for the 80s music, or maybe some 70s too. You could give the first line of any of those songs, or the just the tune, and we know it immediately, right?
Yeah,
I mean, ain't nobody Shaka Khan.
yeah.
God darn, I love that song. You start hearing that gear up, that music, and I'll be like, oh, here it is. Here it is. Yes, it'd be like, okay,
That's
Shaka.
a dancey song. That's definitely a dancey song.
I love
And
that
when I
one.
say dance, I don't mean like
No,
doing all
it
these
just makes
fancy
you move.
move. Yeah, just kind of like sway and just bop. Yeah.
Look, and then here's my signature move. Then the arm goes up. Then I'm doing this. I don't know what this is, but I'm doing it.
I don't know if I told you this. I actually got caught one time in the store. I was doing my steps, and I've got that room off to the side. I was back in that part of the circuit, and I didn't realize somebody had come in. And I'm walking out, but I'm not only, but I'm walking. I'm not just walking. I'm like
You're like,
bopping,
all right. I
and
want you to put. I want you to put "Ain't Nobody" on tomorrow. I want to see how you walk in that store.
and they were. It was funny. I was embarrassed, but I was more embarrassed for them because I could tell they saw me, but they didn't want me to know that they saw me.
Say, look at this floor guy, man. I'll take what
But
he's at.
but when they left, I just laughed at myself. I thought it was funny. Um, but like lyrics too, there's certain things, and again, like nowadays, Kathy, there's just something about, like, I pay attention to the depth of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more in tune.
So
There's
you
this.
gotta get more into country music, because I think there's a lot of stuff to be said in country music. Like there's a that Riley Green. I don't know if you've listened to him, but he's sort of a popular young country singer right now, and he's got a lot of good stuff. But he has this one I was listening to actually last night, called Grandpa's Never Die, or Wish Grandpa's Never Die, whatever the name of that song is. But it's just a really honest song about you. Wish high school football teams never lost. Wish Grandpa's never died. Things you wish just always were there. And it's kind of how we feel a lot of times, that things don't you wish they didn't change.
Um, are you an Adele fan?
I do like Adele, but now you're on the women kick, so I'm not going to be as much of a fan.
Well, a few years ago, on her most recent album, she had
Oh,
this.
Chaka Khan though, I do like Chaka Khan. Like I just said, Chaka Khan. She is a female, so I'm gonna give her the top spot.
Adele had that song called "Easy on Me." That was super popular. But the very first line of that song says, "There ain't no gold in these waters that I've been washing my hands in forever." And when I
Mm.
thought about that, I had to play it back. I'm like, yeah, she's been going about things a certain way, thinking I'm going to do this thing and it's going to fix me. Like she's trying to wash her hands in these water, but it wasn't working. She was trying to do this whatever it was to try to get happy, and it wasn't working. She had to figure out what was really going to make her happy.
So let me trick you a little bit here. So you're talking about how you're choosing the mature route right now of how there's so many great lyrics, right? Okay, how many songs did we listen to that we had no idea what the heck we were like Tone Loc's Wild Thing, and then
No,
I'm like, good Lord, what were we singing? And
yeah,
like we didn't even think it was anything, like well, there was so many songs like that where I'm like, oh sweet Jesus, what were
yeah.
we singing?
That's partly because we were young, and partly because they just not every song is going to be have depth like that. Some songs are just for fun. I mean, that's just
Well, think
all
about
they want to do.
what's his name? What's his name? Shoot, I want your
Oh,
oh
George Michael.
George Michael. I want your sex. Like really, like we're singing that. Like that's we weren't thinking that.
I
We're
mean,
just.
shoot, even that song "Afternoon Delight" was.
I know. I thought it was about ice cream. I was so sad when I knew the real thing. No, I did. I
I
thought
mean,
I
usually
was like,
the ice cream man
wow,
did come in the afternoon, so
Dairy Queen treats. The little truck that
the
comes by.
humor man, the good humor
Oh,
man, yeah.
I was a little upset about it. I'm not gonna lie. But so yeah, there's that part of it too.
And then you ever heard the song called "Rise Up" by Andre Day? You
Nope.
probably it's been covered a million times. There's the line that says, all we need is hope, and for that we have each other." You
Mm.
have to kind of hear that in the context of the whole song, but it just
Well, do you do this when I really like a song? And of course, I don't do this while I'm driving. Kids, don't do this while you're driving. Only do it when you're a passenger. From the radio from 1924, right? Passenger only in the car. But I'll hear something and I'll be like, what did that lyric just say? And then I'll Google it and look up the lyrics and I'll be like, okay, that's not what I thought it said. Or it is what I thought I said. I'm like, that's really cool. So I'm always looking up lyrics if I'm a passenger in a car. No driver, don't do
yeah.
it. But what's the one that we never know the real words
There's
to
I
it?
was going to say
What is it?
there's a few of those.
Oh my gosh. It's not a police one. You know what I'm talking about.
there's a
There's
there's a,
one.
there's
No,
a
no, no, no. I got it. I got it. It's an Elton John song. It's an Elton John song. Rocket
tiny,
Man.
tiny dancer. No, no,
No, it's Rocket Man. It's like da 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 da
no, it's
da
not.
da.
Hold on,
Da.
hold on. No, it's I was in 27 Dresses.
I'm telling you, it's
Benny
Rocket
and the
Man.
Jets.
Is it Benny and the Jets?
It was a famous bar scene.
Somebody just say no. Who said no? Who? What song was it?
It was
My dad.
I'm
What
sorry.
song by Elton John do we not know? We're doing our podcast.
When do you want to come down?
No, there's where everybody makes up their own lyrics to it.
It's Benny and the Jets.
You think it's Benny?
I
Da,
love
da,
it.
da, da, da,
They made a
da,
whole
da.
scene in the movie about it.
All right. Okay.
I mean, there might be some other ones, but that one kind of strikes
I
me.
still think it's Rocket Man. We've got a debate here.
I won't pull it up.
Now,
I'm
here's the funny thing. I agree that for the longest time I didn't know the lyrics to Rocket Man, but once I looked them up, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Whereas with Benny the Jets, I looked them up and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, and I still don't know them. Kathy's, for those of you who are not watching, Kathy is looking up the lyrics. She's like, okay, I got to be right, so I'm going
I
to.
got it. It is Rocket Man. Okay, here we go. Here's the line we don't know that we make stuff up to. It's like, and I think it's going to be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round to find I'm not the man that think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm Rocket Man, Rocket Man. Then it says burning out his fuse up here alone.
Yeah,
We make that up.
I've always known that.
We
So
did not.
I swear I did.
Like that's Planet.
Now play Benny the Jets and tell me that you
Oh,
can't figure out
no,
what
no.
half of the words are on that one.
It's this line. Wait, not this line. This one. We don't know
That's
that
clear as
line.
day to me.
Oh no.
But there's another one, Kathy, that those weren't the ones I was thinking of. There's a few of those.
Imagine when you're in the
It's a
car, you're like, no, 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 no,
it's a
no, no, no.
super tramp. I think it's Super Tramp that sings it.
Goodbye, stranger. It's been nice.
No,
Oh my
it's I
gosh.
don't. Anyway, I'll probably think of it later
My dad's
on.
still playing it.
He heard Elton John. He's like, "Oh, I want to play some
I
Elton
know.
John."
That's some good
He's on the
stuff.
other side of the door with his ear to the door.
See, our fans are so interested in this episode. They're breaking into the studio.
Yeah, they're got groupies outside waiting for your autograph,
That's the
Kathy.
way it is, man. That's the way it is. We're all famous now.
um, but yeah, it's music's one of those things. Like I say, it's pretty universal. We all use it for I was gonna say healthcare for self care.
And
Uh,
healthcare.
I mean, I there is every day, multiple times a day. Um, yeah, Christmas. I'm a big and I gotta say, Kathy, I was kind of like ready for Christmas to be over, but probably about a month ago, I was like, I'm
It's
ready for
coming back.
I'm ready for some more Hallmark Christmas stuff
That's why they have Christmas in July, because it's people like you that are ready to bring it back.
and Christmas music. I'm okay. I'm ready to transition, but it's like I don't know. It's funny. I'm like ready again. I haven't even gotten to like my June vacation yet.
I
I'm
don't
gonna.
think Sirius XM going to start Holly any earlier than
Well, I
it
can
does.
go on their app and hear it all year
Oh, that's
round,
right. That's
but
right.
I don't have their app. So
I
well,
do.
actually, I do, but
I'll loan it to you.
it's kind of like how um, oh, what was that music app? One of the first music apps.
Spotify,
No, it
Pandora.
was way before that. Pandora,
Ooh,
where
Pandora.
you could, if you paid a premium, you could fast forward as many times as you wanted.
Oh yeah.
But if you just had the free, you only got so many.
I
Fast,
hate when they cut you off and then you're stuck with that last song.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I had Pandora. I liked it, but again, you know,
Remember when gosh, what was the one that when we first started with the streaming stuff, and then you could download song. They wanted you to pay, and then I heard if you download so many songs, then you're gonna get in trouble. And I thought I was gonna go to like internet jail. What was that called? Like we download back in the old days.
yeah, they got in trouble, and the
Wait, what was it?
Pirating.
No, that's the form of crime. Dad said pirating. What was the name of the thing that we downloaded music from?
yeah,
And then
and the artists, all the artists got mad.
And I heard if you get to past 400 songs, like you're going to like internet jail. I forget what it was called.
It was
See that? Look at our brains. We're helping our brains by trying to problem solve this. And then I go to Dr. Google. First, was
what
it
was the
first?
pirating music download app from back in the day?
Because they still haven't caught. Was it Napster?
Napster.
It was Napster.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, here we go. It was shut down in 2001 due to legal issues. I might be part of that problem.
yeah.
For
All
real.
the music industry banded together and just said, "No, you're not going to like."
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I quit like at song 399. I'm because I was like one more song and I'm in jail. And now I've come clean. I pay for all my music. Thank you.
I used to have. I did the whole iPod thing back in the day.
I miss the iPod. How about the little shuffle? The shuffle. It was like a little
That's how I
square.
first started listening to music at the gym.
Right. I might still have it. I'm not lying.
But I don't, I haven't done that, Kathy, in probably
Jay,
5 or 6 years. Oh yeah,
can you tell I'm a hoarder?
yeah.
If you can't see what I'm doing, I have a very small Apple Square. That's it. And then I have an iPad or whatever this thing is.
iPod
With the
Mini. That's the iPod Mini.
screen.
Yeah,
Because you could put your. I miss these. I
yeah.
probably could still use them. They're so cute. You could put this on your shirt.
I transitioned from the Apple stuff to
So Apple, if you want to be a sponsor of Eastern Shore Talk, what you can do is you
yeah,
can email
yeah.
us.
Apple. We're the company you've been dying to
Company you've been
sponsor
waiting
all these years.
with our music episodes. Sponsor us. Anyway,
I'm an
see that?
Android guy now, so
Nostalgia.
I've switched. So
You're ruining our sponsorship. Old watches. Dad's back.
Lyrics.
I know it is Rocket Man. He's still on Rocket Man. Da, na, 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 mm, mm, mm. Anyway, So you never know what I pull out of a drawer. I got all kinds of stuff in here, man. I probably got a cassette in here or something. Why do I
So,
keep these things?
so real quick, Kathy, before we get out of here,
Nostalgia. Yeah.
let's talk about anything we've
See,
been
we could have a
watching.
music part two. I'm telling you. We could,
Oh yeah, we have
we
like
still
part
think
10.
it's yeah, yeah, yeah. Great.
Anything
How about that, Dad? What's your favorite go-to song? What's your like?
to
What?
like get you in a good
Wait,
mood?
wait.
Oh, Boats.
Dad's gonna be 75. He's
Boats.
getting ready to celebrate big birthday.
Boats by Kenny Chesney.
So he picked the new one, Boats by Kenny. So
It
see
gets
where I
you in
get this beachy island
get you in
out.
a tranquil, slow down mode, appreciative. You know, yeah.
Another vacation song.
It's not a vacation, really. It's a state of mind. Mellows you out.
Isn't
Makes
that
you
what a vacation does?
makes you
Not
think.
our vacations.
That's what's important. Yeah.
He's on permanent vacation.
He is something like that. All right,
Uh,
don't leave. I'll be right up. All right. We have soccer still.
So what you been watching lately? Anything?
Nothing. Oh wait, nope. Every time I say that, I say I fibbed. This weekend, while I was on my camping trip, like on the last day when Marty was outside cleaning up, I'm inside and I found a music documentary channel. I have no idea what the channel was, and I watched. All right, surprise, surprise, Rick Springfield.
Mm,
And then I watched Meatloaf. But Rick
yeah,
Springfield is why I
yeah.
stopped. So these were really interesting. I don't even know what the channel they were on because I wasn't home. I was at the beach, but they were interesting documentaries about, you know, just the life of these musicians and how they started and what their troubles were and about, you know, record labels that would drop them and then they really didn't have any hope, or just how they caught their first breaks, and about people writing their songs and the people writing. I didn't realize this with Rick Springfield, for example. The song "I've Done Everything for You," you've done nothing for me,
Hmm.
you know that
Yep.
song. He didn't write that. Sammy Hagar did. And I know that
Huh.
him and Sammy have had a great friendship for a long time, and they have like a
I was not aware of that, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's got its Sammy Hagar vibe to it.
they have a like a gin or rum or whatever, some kind
Yeah.
of spirits business together now, but they're good friends. So he said he was mad because if you think about Rick Springfield, when back in like 81 or whatever, that pop rock stuff it wasn't quite there yet. It was just starting to come in. So at first the producers or whatever were kind of like, I don't know about that. And Sammy was mad because he's like, this is going to be a hit. So, but then you think about it, all of our early 80s music, it just
Yeah.
became very pop. So then
Yeah.
it kind of slid in and it was a hit. Anyway,
It's
there you
funny.
go.
I wonder if Rick Springfield is friends with Guy Fieri, because Sammy Hagar and Guy Fieri
Oh,
actually
really?
own a restaurant together.
I
So
didn't
they're
know
really
that.
good friends. Yeah, he's actually been on Diners,
Diners,
Dives.
dives.
Yeah,
I want to see Sammy Hagar without those glasses. I don't think I've ever seen him without glasses on. But Guy either. He always has glasses on too.
yeah. And I don't really remember much of Sammy Hagar stuff before he was in Van Halen for that little bit of time. I mean,
Is
I
he?
know he was, but I don't really,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I didn't know really he was a writer like that for other
Yeah.
people. But there's a lot of people that write songs for other people that you just don't know.
Oh yeah. So Friday,
Behind the Music Part 2. We'll do that another day.
yeah. Um, this past Friday, I went and saw Sinners, which people have been talking highly
I've never
about
heard
that, but it was weird to me. It wasn't terrible, but I got to watch it. And I'm like,
Huh.
I don't see all the hype to it. It
I
wasn't
didn't read
again.
it.
It wasn't a horrible. But it was just weird and different. Ryan Coogler was the director, and he did all the Black Panther movies for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's Michael B. Jordan and
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen's fiance Haley Steinfeld were the two main characters, or the two
Mm-hmm.
famous people that were in it. Just weird, just different, kind of a different spin on vampires and things going on in the 1930s, and just
Wow.
kind of odd.
I probably
Um,
would like that.
But I did watch a brand new documentary on Netflix. It's called um, 9/11 to the hunt for Bin Laden, and it documents
Mm,
everything from the attacks on the World Trade Center all the way up until we actually went hunted down Bin Laden. They gave it's I want to say it's 3 or 5 parts,
hmm.
but they're all like an hour and a half long. So but it's brand new. So like there's some big time like government officials, like the head of
I'd probably
this,
be
the
interested in
guy that
that.
was the head of the CIA is interviewed,
Mhm.
and like the there was a guy that was with President Bush on when he was at the elementary school in Florida
I
when they
remember
told him
that, yeah,
he
where
was
they
with
whispered
them
in
on
his
that
ear.
trip. He was his one of his advisors, and they talked to the guy, the head of the SEAL team that went. I've never heard them talk about it. And they did it. They did it all. It was really like,
I'd probably be interested in that. I like history like that.
and it's so funny, Kathy. No matter how many times I see footage of the buildings being hit and the buildings falling in New York, it
It's
just doesn't
interesting.
seem real. It doesn't really. It seems like fiction, and I know it happened, um, but they were talking everything through, like all of it, and they had people that were at the Pentagon talk. And one of the things that really stands out to me about that whole thing was there was a point in time where there was not one commercial airliner in the air. They grounded them all. The only planes in the air were military planes. Like there
You
was
know
no
what?
airplanes in the air for like
I
days.
no, I remember that, and I remember that. I'll tell you why I remember this. We had gotten that was the first year we had gotten our swimming pool, and Jaden was just a baby. It was 2001, and you could tell it would sounded different to be outside. Like we were outside, and I'm like the it sounds different outside without the planes.
So
I
it's
felt.
funny. I I thought about your kids, your youngest kids, when I was watching it because like Dylan
They
wasn't even born. Like for example, Dylan wasn't even
Dylan
born
and
yet.
Tristan were born,
So I'm
and
thinking,
Jaden was a
I'm like,
baby.
wow, and I know they're aware of it. They've heard about things, but I wonder if they would like, anybody that was younger, not born yet, or very little. Like, I wonder how much interest they would have in, or how
Well,
much they would
their
learn.
last crisis, their lifetime crisis is pandemic.
Yeah,
The 9/11 was really our,
yeah.
first. I would argue our first real scare. Well, except for back in when we hid under the desk for the
Oh yeah. When the Cold War, like
Cold
the
War stuff.
yeah, of course, before we were born, there was the Cuban Missile Crisis, where like we
Yeah.
were like right. I remember what they was called the Doomsday Clock, and they showed it on the news all the time. Where the closer the clock got to midnight, the closer we were to nuclear holocaust, and that it was called the Doomsday Clock. And they did that for the whole time the Cold War was on, and it would get 1 minute closer, and then it would drop back a minute. It was always like wavering back and forth.
And
Uh,
then there was Y2K where we were scared of the year
with all the
2000.
computers were going to crash. Yep,
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. But
so many
it,
things.
it's so there's been a million documentaries about it, but this is brand new, and I've not heard these specific people talk about it because they were like big time high level government people that were talking about like the
Yeah.
meetings that they were having and how Obama was handling things at the back end because 9/11 happened when Bush was in office, but when we went and got Bin Laden, Obama was in office.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Probably wouldn't even remember
the
that.
guy that wrote the speech for when Obama came out and said announced that we hunted down and killed Obama. The guy that wrote that speech, they interviewed him, um, and it's so good because it's like behind the scenes information that I've never heard before. So yeah,
Huh.
there's the stuff they go through the
That's
stuff that we're all
interesting.
kind of familiar
Hmm.
with, but
We'll have to
some,
check it out.
yeah, it's really good. But
Okay.
all right, guys. One last thing before we get out of here. Don't forget Saturday, September 13th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Talbot County Community Center is the Eastern Shore Self Care Expo. We hope to see you all there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll check you next time on Eastern Shore Talk. Take care, guys.
Bye.